Hi everyone and welcome. I'm Diane and my passion is painting and creating nature-inspired watercolours in my studio, which are easy for you to do too. I share all my paintings with you on YouTube, and on our website dianeanton.com you can find free downloadable sketches for all the videos to help you make the most of your painting journey. And if you'd like a little bit more, we also have channel memberships with loads of perks for you to enjoy. So welcome on board. Click subscribe and turn on notifications, and let's learn to paint watercolour. Hi everyone, Diane here. Welcome to my channel. Hope everyone's well and happy. Today I was thinking I would do something using the Meaden paints, the watercolour paint set, which I think quite a few of you probably will have received by now. So when I got up this morning and I came to the studio, and I did my little bit of warm-up. First of all, I actually, as I was going to bed last night, I was watching videos, watching lots of people's videos. I watch all sorts of things these days, other artists and people who give advice on how to run a YouTube channel, like Sean Cannell and Think Media and all that. And anyway, one of the things I ended up watching was my own video, the one that's got 375,000 views, which is an enormous number, which is three little birds, which I did like this about a year ago, just before we did the Paint a Bird a Day thing. And I watched this video all the way through and thought to myself, this is terrible, awful, awful video, don't like it at all. You might want to go and check it out because it seems so different from what we do now. Excuse me. So I thought this morning when I got up, came to the studio, I thought I would paint the same, I would follow my own video. And so I painted this. So that might act as some kind of inspiration for you if you haven't done that, the three little birds, which are done wet in wet. You just drop the paint into a circle of water and let the whole thing blend and mix. And then you add the tail and the legs and everything. And it's fun to do and makes a really quick little card if you want to write someone a letter and paint a picture on it or whatever. You could turn it into bookmarks as well if you stacked them one above the other and did them a bit smaller. It's got lots of possibilities and it's easy and fun to do. And you'll find out things like some colours, like this is ultramarine, and you see how ultramarine kind of granulates and makes a strange pattern, whereas this was phthalo green, and it didn't do that. And this is dioxazine violet, which is also synthetic. These are both synthetic, more synthetic than ultramarine, and they don't granulate like that. So those are kind of better than that in a way, although some people like the character that you get when you get all these granulations and backruns and so on and so forth. And I don't mind them at all. Quite like that kind of thing. So I did that and, you know, take a screenshot if you want to have a go at copying it. Better still, go over and watch the video. It is going to get to 500,000 eventually before very long. It's still being seen. It's amazing. It's amazing. It's amazing. It's not my best video, but it's by far and away the most popular. As far as YouTube is concerned, you just can't win. Anyway, then I did this, and what I did here, I painted the loosest and ugliest watercolour flowers that I could possibly do. I just wanted to get some paint onto the paper. This is a piece of Bockingford watercolour paper, £140 cold press, not paper, of course it's paper, don't be silly, not cotton, but cellulose. I think I might have painted on the back side of it. No, I didn't. Did I? I don't know. That's the only trouble. When you buy sheets and you cut them up, what I normally do is I usually write on them what they are, and which is the back side. And I didn't last night when I cut this up. I forgot because it was late and I was tired and I shouldn't have been doing it then. So I might have painted on the back. I think I did, actually, which is probably accounts for the reason why it didn't. Oh, you know, we all make mistakes. Never mind. Anyway, so the thing is, the back is a slightly smoother, not what you'd call really smooth, but yes, that is definitely the back. So I painted this ugly painting And then deliberately, because you see, I'm going to rant and rave and bore you to tears again. What happened yesterday? Yesterday, normally I paint in the morning, and yesterday we had someone around for coffee who arrived and sat down opposite me and said, "Oh, yes, no, we've both been ill." And I'm like, "Oh, yeah." And she said, "Yeah, no, we've both had COVID." And I'm like, "Ah." "Oh, really?" I said, "Are you okay now?" And she said, yeah, we've been all right now. But Mum and Dad have both been in hospital with it. And I'm like, "Would you please leave the room?" Anyway, that kind of threw me for the rest of the day. And I wasn't able to do any painting or anything. And as you can hear, I've got a frog in my throat. So I hope I haven't caught COVID, because I'd probably die if I did. So we went and sat outside, and I thought to myself, oh my God. So I didn't do anything. And then I knew what I did do in the afternoon. I did a painting, and it turned out utter disaster. So I threw it away. It's in the bin. Look, here it is. I was so disgusted with it, I just drew black lines all over it, and I'm going to cut it into pieces. I'm going to cut it up into pieces. I wonder what it would look like if I used my knife. Just a sec. If I was to cut it into pieces, it probably looked just as ugly. I don't know why I put the ink on top of it. I just was wanting to cover it all up, I think. Yeah, see, yeah, that's still no good, is it? No good at all. So what I'll do is I will cut this up. I'll cut it up into bookmarks myself. Don't worry, I won't make you. Oh, see, now there's one that's going to be not so bad. Not so bad. It's got a little bit more potential. It's funny, isn't it, when this kind of thing happens? And when I came back to the studio today, I thought to myself, I've got to get the paintbrushes out. I've got to paint something, because otherwise I'll be blocked. Because even if you think, this happens to everyone, I think, you think that you can sort of paint. You're not too bad, you know. You can do something. And then you have a disaster like this, and you think, oh my Lord, I'm never going to be able to paint again. This is just, I'm a failure. And you stop. That's happened to me before. That has happened to me before. And I nearly sold all my things, and I literally had people ringing me and asking me, could they come and have a look at my plan chest? Could they buy my easel? And then fate stepped in, and I decided, no, I wasn't going to do that. In actual fact, what happened was it snowed and nobody could get anywhere. It never snows here, but it did, and nobody could get anywhere. And I took that as a sign, and I said, well, if nobody can come and buy my stuff, maybe I'm meant to keep it. And then I decided I would go to a class. This is about 15 years ago now. And I went to a local class here in France, which was traumatic. I was expecting everyone to speak English, and I got there and everyone spoke French. Isn't that weird? And it's like, oh no, I don't know any of these words. I don't know what watercolor is in French. So that was, oh dear, life in France. Anyway, so moving on. Today I'm going to top up my palette here with my paints, my Meadens here, which are fine. And because I can just spray them, and I will, with my bottle of water here, just to enliven them a bit. But sometimes when you want to be a little bit free, you might actually want to add top up and so on and so forth. And this is cerulean, so we'll pop a bit more in there, and I'll put it beside the section where it's dried. And some people like to put, I don't actually quite understand it, but apparently a lot of people like to fill their paint palettes with paint and then they let it dry. They let it dry. And then when it's dry, they come back and wet it and paint from it. I've never worked like that. I like my paints to be wet, and so that you can use a lot of it. And if you've bought these Meeden paints, even, oh gosh, ouch, even if you're on a budget, these are great. And a friend of mine, Denise, was telling me how her grandchildren, are doing wonderfully with their paints, and so much so that she likes the Meedens herself so much she's going to keep them for herself and give the children her Cotmans. So I thought that was quite funny. Well, why not? Because these are brighter than Cotman. Cotman are made in China, by the way. Somebody objected to me buying Chinese paint and told me I should stick to European brands, and that's all very well, except there is no such thing as Winsor & Newton anymore. They've been sold to the Chinese. I'm sorry, they have. And they only exist now as a brand within a company called Collart, who own lots of other companies like Le Bourgeois Frank and that company that makes the face paints and all other things. And it's just one brand amongst a whole bunch. And as far as I can remember, they're Winsor & Newton now make or have made, or they are made under their name. In France, their artist quality or professional paints, as they call them now, I believe are made in France, probably in one of the factories that belongs to one of the French makes, like Le Franc Bourgeois, for example. I don't know that, though. I'm just making that up. But it could be true. And then the Cotman ones, I believe, are made in, what colour is this? That's black. I don't want that. Well, maybe I do. Hang on. I'll put the black in a little dish there. Cotman is made in China, but they're not, in my opinion, as good value for money. Oh, that's white. I don't want that one either. This one, lemon. Oh dear. I don't think that they are such good value because I don't think that they're as powerful. And anyway, blah, blah, blah. You'd think I liked the sound of my own voice, by the way I witter on, wouldn't you? But you've got to fill the airspace. Gamboge. We're just doing this now so that we can get started. I'm going to do a demonstration soon of using the jelly plate to make monoprints with watercolor, which I've been trying out, and I've been quite pleased with what I've managed to discover. So I'm going to share that with you soon. I'm going to also record do a live premiere, and it's probably going to be next week on Sunday. And if you can't be there when it's actually put broadcast, or whatever word you should use for that, then it'll be available amongst all the other videos under the tab on our channel which says live. Doesn't mean that that's where you go for a live that's happening. It just means that's where they all get put. Right, so we've topped all of those up, and now I can get rid of that. And I'm going to do the same thing as I did this morning, which means I'm going to put this over here. So let's find a brush. Let's find one that's got something like a point. Okay, I'm going to use this one. This is a Zen Art brush. It's faux squirrel, and it is, I can't remember Can't see either. I think that's a size 10. I think. Zen art. Okay, so let's paint some ugly flowers. And Denise was saying last night about greens and how to mix nice greens. I tend, when I'm using a palette like this, I tend to take a ready-made green and then I add yellows to it just to change it a bit. So like that. And then if you want to make it go a bit on the grayer side, then you take a pink or a red or a brown and you add, and then you'll soften it down and it's a little bit more subtle. So you just, honestly, you just have to play. But I don't want to start with green anyway. So I'm probably going to follow the same colour scheme. So I'll start with some turquoise. Yes, it's definitely better painting on the right side of the paper. Yeah, that is definitely something to be said for that. This is quite a nice brush, this one. It's got quite a nice point. Somebody was saying the other day that she doesn't like it when I do leaves because I don't get rid of the water marks and I let it dry so that you've got all these irregularities and everything. She didn't like that. And I'm sorry about that, but that's the way I paint, and I don't think I could change it if I wanted to. And I don't want to anyway, so, you know, this is the thing. You have to do what you have to do. I'm going to put some, oh, look at that beautiful bleeds there. Look at that. Makes you think of core paint, doesn't it? Yes, I'm sorry. I was annoyed with my Bockingford this morning because it didn't work very well, and I apologise to the universe now because it was me, not it. And I'm going to pop in some leaves around here and just using multiple colours, letting these greens sort of blend. And we'll need some violet, otherwise there won't be enough contrast. But we'll start off like that. And so now we'll come down here to the purples. We've got two quite nice purples here. I quite like to mix them together. And let's make some really big flowers. This is outside of my normal scale. We all tend to have a scale to which we paint. Some people paint really big. Some people paint really small. I tend to be somewhere in the middle. You know, I'm very average. Nothing outstanding here. But I'm going to try to break out of that medium-sizedness and paint some really big ones. And I mean really big. We had fantastic, what do you call them, rhododendron flowers this year on our rhododendrons, just absolutely loaded. So maybe that's influenced me a little bit. Okay, so that's enough of that. And then we will come in now with something yellowish, yellow-brown. See, I didn't wash off my brush completely, which I didn't mean to. I meant not to. So I've got a little bit of violet in there on my brush, so it's giving me nice colour blends. I think I'm going to sit down. this is lovely subtle. That's yellow ochre with dioxazine mauve, or whatever they call it here. And now probably, let's put a little bit more of that over here. And then I'm going to drop more purple in the centre of these flowers, which are really extravagantly huge, and I might regret it. But then, since I'm going to probably do some doodling on top, so I'm going to mix purple with this green to give me a really dark navy colour, and then I'm going to be brave and put in some what would you call them, leaves, which at a later date we might do marks on top of. Now, at this point, it's easy to lose confidence, and you start to say to yourself, "This isn't going to work. This is just not going to work. I'm going to stop and I'm going to go and do the ironing." But don't do that. Apart from anything else, ironing does not need to be done anymore. And secondly, it's not about what you achieve. It's about the process. And Tamsin, my daughter, firmly believes, and I think I agree, well, I do agree, that the process of painting is all about putting the energy of art out into the universe. Because we were made to create. And if we don't, then something, and a lot of people will understand what I mean, there's something not right in your life if you aren't able to allow yourself to create. And it honestly doesn't really matter what you do, as long as you create. You can create children if you want, but when you're done creating children, that's what you should then do, move on and create creations. You can create cakes, you can create gardens, but that's what we're here for. That's what we believe anyway. And if you get blocked, then you become unhappy and worried and so on. Okay, now this is at what I would call the ugly stage. It is, isn't it? It's seriously ugly. So I'm going to dry it and come back in with the next thing. So having got to this point, now the thing to do is to probably slow down and wonder what happened to my other white pen. We want, do I want white? No, I think I'm going to start with black. And this is a Tombow for Denosuke brush pen, which has thick and thin. It's got a soft point to it, and it gives quite interesting effects when you use it. So I have begun to do this kind of thing with my flowers. was saying the other day, I think that I think I'm more of a drawing person than a painting person in some ways. So this combination of pen and paint is sort of, I think most people like it, don't they? I probably could use a slightly broader pen, but I don't think I've got one actually. But we're giving these ugly purple plants. No, they're not really ugly. That's not fair. But we're giving them some form, some shape. In fact, you could say we're just identifying the petals, which are lying there waiting to be found. Get some interesting sketchy scratches. And then if we want to, if my pen will behave itself. Oh, I knew it wouldn't. Don't know why not. There we go. Oh, that looks greenish, doesn't it? That's interesting. Just put some white dots on there. Pretend that they're not green. I might have to do something about that. And then let's do something similar here, but not quite the same. It's quite nice to sort of just go outside and inside, but not exactly along the lines that you've painted. And then it seems to me that what you get is sort of the two shapes. You know, you get the paint shape and then you get the graphic shape, and somehow that is kind of pleasing. You never really know. You never really know, really. Okay, we've got this one here. It's good exercise for the fingers. And these ones, these leaves, press down, lift up. And as you begin to add these elements, the thing starts to come together. It really can do. I do like doing these like this. Do it all day long. There's another one here. So I like to just go along the line of the stem and then put in the leaves. And that's my favourite shape. Can you hear the pigeons singing in the background there? They're really into their rearing, baby pigeon rearing thing at the moment. Apparently they can have, I think, didn't I read somewhere, 4 or 5 broods in 1 year in this area here. Okay, so I think So I'd be interested to hear from anybody in the comments below whether anyone has tried making jelly plates. That's not something you eat. Monoprints using the jelly plate. I know you might not think that it's anything to do with watercolor, but because usually, if you've heard about them, you probably will have seen people doing them with acrylics. And that's where I started off. I thought, first of all, I'll find out what the rules are, and then I'll try and break them. So I got a little one. It's only 6 inches square. And I had some acrylic paints stashed away. So I tried it out with acrylics, and I thought, well, that's interesting. That worked. And it's a absolutely addictive process, really. Love it. So I thought, yeah, but, you know, we're a watercolor channel, really, although I'm trying to do a bit of mixed media as well on the Facebook group. But what am I saying? So anyway, I thought I'll figure out if I can do it with watercolor, and you can. And you get some very interesting things, and they make brilliant backgrounds for, you know, something like the reverse colouring that we were talking about the other day. I haven't forgotten about that. Have you? Yeah. So I'll show you how I did that. I'm sure other people have done it too. It's another one of my lovely beige ones. So you get these backgrounds, and then you can come into the backgrounds with the pen like this. And yeah, it's fun. I'll show you. Completely different kind of thing. Okay, so we're now you will have noticed that I'm not varying the shape of the leaves much, because I think that that is a good thing to keep them consistent. So, you know, you've got the pointed oval for the leaves, mostly, long pointed ovals for some of the flowers, and then these heart-shaped petals. You don't want too many, and the circles, you don't want too many different shapes, because you've got quite a lot of different colours. And at this point, I'm sort of thinking, do I want to literally cover all of them with ink, or am I going to stop somewhere near here? Or am I going to bring in another colour? I could start using some white if I could make it work. I don't know. It's but you don't really want too many different elements. And I'm really thinking this one could do with being made lighter. If you feel that something has come too dark, then you can go over it with white lines like this. It's the graphic solution. And it also covers up some of your runs and back runs and things like that, which you may or may not appreciate. And there's one here. I have to try and make this one look a bit better. Aren't we lucky to have all these wonderful tools to use? Never used to until I started this channel, I had no idea about white pens. It's like, oh my gosh, that's amazing. I came across a new YouTuber this morning. Now, what's her name? It's an unusual name. I'll put her name. It's Allison something. I think she's only been on YouTube for a little while, and she does a lot of mark making, you know, in the style of Lorna Horn and so on. She might be worth a look. I think she's only been here for about 3 weeks or something. Just getting started. Hang on. I'll tell you what her name is just a second. Talk amongst yourselves while I look it up. Allison, I don't know how she pronounces her last name. Dawrant. Dawrant? From Alberta. I used to live in Alberta, as most people that listen to me rambling know. I used to live in Calgary, and we lived in Canmore. And it was a very cold place. My ex-husband still lives in Edmonton, actually, and we were talking to him the other day, and he was telling us that they've been given instructions to make sure that they're ready to evacuate if the wildfires, get too bad. It's terrible to think that there could be wildfires like that in Canada, especially there, where it's not exactly what I would call the hottest place in the world, but recently it has been. Okay, so we're getting there. Any more? Want anything? I put a few dots there. The white, when it works, makes a nice contrast on some of the lighter colours where you think, I don't actually want to go over that with black, but I want to go over it with something. And so you can echo the black lines with white lines. And yeah, well, I think we're probably more or less there. What do you think? Is that more or less there? Yeah, let's see if I can make those a little bit bigger on here, because they went blue for some strange reason. That's better. And these ones, I want to make some of them bigger. They'll look better if some of them are a bit bigger. And here too. So I'd love to hear what you think about this painting in the comments below, and whether you like this palette, this combination of purple and turquoise, I think is quite bold, and I'm seeing it around quite a lot at the moment. I've been doing it for a little while now. Yeah, it's a little bit unusual, isn't it? Let's put something in the middle of this one. That one I like, yeah. Okay, right, there we are then, all done, and well, I'll see you again soon. Don't forget to like and subscribe, turn on notifications, and I will see you over on Facebook. And if you're a member of Patreon or of YouTube membership, you get to join the private Facebook group where you can share all your things and take part in the daily challenge. So, I'll let you go. Happy painting, and I'll see you again soon. Bye for now, everybody. Bye-bye.